Well, my name is James Redd. I am with Providence Engineering, aka Providence Oris, and wanted to take a few minutes of your time to introduce you to some of the new features that are in our Beast software version 12.08. So in this new version, there's not really a regulatory update. It turned out that we had set to release this version of Beast probably literally a couple of days before EPA released their new versions of AirMod and AirMet. So with that being said, neither of those two new versions are in Beast 12.08. However, never fear, we are working diligently to be able to include the new AirMod and AirMet into our Beast package. So the rest of this webinar will talk about the Beast corrections or updates to version 12.07, and which will include updates to Beast itself, the AirMet air surface user interface, the AirMinute interface, and the terrain files converter. So within Beast itself, we've done some little fix-up things that I think will make it better for your usage. One of which is we've increased the size of the setup forms and DTA diagnostics in terms of what you see on screen. It's maybe a couple inches wider, both in the XY or X direction and Y direction. We have updated the 3D view so that now you can see all source types within your Beast, including buoyant line sources. And speaking of buoyant line sources, Beast can now create buildings based on your buoyant line source parameters. And I'll show you how that works here in just a moment. We've also added an administrative warning that tells you when your license key is within 30 days of expiring. And we fixed a bug that limited the number of partitions for Beast Express to 50. It's actually 99 now. And we also updated the test case and test case instructions. So I'm going to pop out real quick and show you what I mean by all this. So this is our basic test case. And as I said, it's been updated for this version of Beast. Specifically, we've put in more than one pollutant as our user ID here for SO2 1 hour, annual, and NOx 1 hour. And so with that being the case, if you go over to the output options, it now says for SO2 1 hour, it's going to give you fourth high, which remember is the 99th percentile of the annual distribution of the daily maximum 1 hour SO2. And for NOx 1 hour, it's just set for first high and second high. And again, you can always change these, but this is how they come as a default. Also in here, if you look in the meteorological data options, we've updated the years of metadata. It used to be, I believe, 1990. We've now updated it to have 5 years of 2017 through 2021, along with a concatenated 5-year metadata set. So those are the primary changes that are in this new test case. I'm going to open up another file here. So this is not a test case, although it does come with your Beast. But I want to use this to sort of show you what we're talking about with the ability to show things in 3D and create buildings for buoyant line sources. So as you can see here, we have a stack down towards this corner, an area circle, and a volume source, and a line source, and a building here. And then we have what looks like 6 buoyant line sources. And so if you were to go to, let's say, the anchor point for this one here, and go to edit source, it'll tell you, here's the starting midpoint, ending midpoint, release height. And if I cancel that, and I believe I want to click buoy line groups, aha. So there is where you can see for this group buoy 14, which is this batch right here, 1 through 4. It has the average building length and height and width and line source width and so forth. So you would have already put these into Beast. And so if I go and hover over buoy line 4, I now have an option that says create a building from buoy line source. And if I click that, the dash line turns solid and it says, congratulations, you now have a building for that buoyant line source. And I can do the same thing for this one up here. Say create a building from the buoyant line source. And it does the same thing. So if I look at these guys now in 3D, I see that I have those two that are now have the purple buildings around the red line source, and the other parameters are in there as well. And you can always click the little button there and rotate it around as you wish. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if I go to run, say terrain file for 3D tool, and then say 3D, now the property line actually shows up in the 3D image as well. So another really nice way to visualize what your setup looks like. Within our AirMet interface, we've updated the air surface options form. I'll show you what changed there. We've also added a tutorial about how to develop the moisture input options for air surface. We've updated the test case and their instructions. And again, this is our caveat that this does not include EPA's very recently released AirMet version 22.112. But again, we are working on this, and that will appear in Beast 12.09. In terms of what we have with AirMet, so this is AirMet interface, and if I go to AS1, this is for being able to run air surface. The input files, again, you have the option to pick anywhere from 1992 up through 2016 right now, that being the most recent. But the big change is down here at other options, where it says non-airport wind sectors. I believe originally it was worded airport wind sectors, or it was not consistent with what air surface actually reports. And so this is where you're telling it which ones aren't at the airport. In this case, you're saying since it's none, it means all of the wind sectors cover the airport. The test case, file, load test case. And again, this is for Asheville 2021, January the 1st through January the 1st of the following year, with the service in upper air and air minute data. So as you go through here and see these as part of the test case, model processing, air surface, and so forth. So that's there. Um, we also have the guidance document. Oops, that's the user guide, excuse me. Tutorial. So this is how you go about pulling in, or determining rather, whether your site is considered wet, average, or dry. And we discuss how to download the precipitation data and sorting it from, pardon me, from wettest to driest, or vice versa. With our air minute utility, the only thing that we've done here is we've put in a prompt to ask you to confirm if you're going to be overriding the hourly winds created, which is one of the outputs from air minute, and that happens during the run air minute segment. And here we've also added a test case and test case instructions. So here's air minute. I load the test case. Oh, it is already on test case. So you have the time, the date range. There's the station, KAVL, Asheville, North Carolina. Um, the data is already downloaded, so you go to the tab and find your 1 minute data, or 5 minute data if you're processing that also. Output, hourly winds file, summary file, surface data comparison if you're including the original SHD file, and then here's the run button. And just when you click run air minute, it says they're going to be overwritten. Are you sure you want to do that? And you say yes or no. And then believe that, yeah, we have the test case instruction as part of air minute as well. And finally, with the terrain files converter utility, which is used to convert the compressed geotiff terrain data into the uncompressed geotiff that you have to use with AirMap, we just note that it has been updated to use the GDAL, or Geospatial Data Abstraction Library 3.5.0, and we've updated the user's manual. And because Terrain Files Converter comes as a part of both Beast and AirScreen for Windows, we show the directions for both of those. So here's Terrain Files Converter. Again, you can process either GeoTIFF or ArcGrid. Here's the user manual. And as I said, we go through and we say that after you downloaded 3.5.0, there's one set of, if you're going to be doing this for AirScreen for Windows or for Beast. A couple of reminders, or one reminder, I should say. Last June, EPA had sent out an email to the modelers and consultants and regulated community telling us that there were 2 bugs in the new version of AirMod and gave us some workarounds. Now, the EPA has fixed these bugs with AirMod 22112, but again, that's not a part of this version of Beast. So if you're still using that older version of AirMod, the 2 errors were, or issues were, with modeling NO2 background concentrations using PVMRM, and that is that the background NO2 concentrations are added to the model concentration twice, which doubles their contribution. That only occurs with PVMRM. And the other issue was if you were modeling buoyant line sources, there was an internal error that would sometimes cause the buoyant line concentrations to come up as 0. So again, these have been fixed in the latest version of EPA's air mod. Again, it will become part of Beast 12.09, which we are currently working on. And that is it for this presentation. I am going to turn off the recording and open the floor up to questions.